caterhamracer.com. 2024 Caterham Championship is sponsored by one-to-one on-track coaching and simulator training with Ryan Hooker, and by DPR Motorsport, your competitive advantage. Hello and welcome along to a new season here at caterhamracer.com. It is 2024 and it's time to get the full race season up and running, where we mirror the real world Caterham Motorsport season. You can see our drivers out here on track around the fabulous Snetterton 300 circuit up in Norfolk. 3 miles, 5 kilometres of tarmac around this one. And what a way to get the season and racing up and running. You join us as all our drivers are in their qualifying session currently, as they head on round trying to get the first pole position of this season. A season that's going to span from now until October, and like I say, we'll be following the main Caterham Motorsport season as they move around the UK and into Europe. So will we. So what have we got in store for you then? So we've got Snetterton 300 tonight, 3rd of April, running in our Caterham 270R car. We'll cover some of the car differences as the evening goes on. We're then going to head over to Zandvoort in Europe and Holland and take Caterham 420R for a spin around that track, and that's on the 24th of April. Then we're over to Silverstone for the GP circuit in the Caterham 310R race car. That's happening on the 5th of June. Then we're over to Cadwell Park, and 3rd of July back in the 270R for that one. And then we're off to Scotland, just north of Edinburgh. The Knockhill Superheader will be running the Knockhill circuit in the forward and the backward direction, as the real world cars will as well. Quite a unique proposition in UK motorsport. Then we're back to Brands Hatch Indy for the penultimate round, back in the 310R, and then we'll run the Academy car once and for the final time at the Donington National Circuit to conclude this championship season. So plenty of action ahead of us, plenty of action to take us through to that October finale. Championship in operation, so points on offer for every single round, as we watch Jaroslav Chernia, a previous champion here on the service, returning back to race with us. As you see this clump of cars, just like the real world, they do tend to go around in clumps to get the little bit of tow that's on offer in the simulator world. It's not quite as big as the tow that's on offer out on the tracks for real in a Caterham, but still it counts. And you can see the drivers all heading down towards us, all diving out of that slipstream. It's a Christian Cerruta diving for the inside there, and over Oglesby. So starting as they mean to go on this qualifying session. They have still got 9 minutes of this qualifying session to go. It's good to see drivers back, like Christian. He's, I think, a 3-time official champion here, so one of the most dominant drivers on our service, and he's back to see what he can do in his Brawn liveried car. And he's not far behind him on track. There's David Rowe, many times the runner-up and the bridesmaid on the services, but yet to win his championship, I think. So he'll be seeing whether he can do anything about that this year in his DPR liveried race car as they head down the Bentley Straight. Then he also looking like he's going to overhaul Oglesby going into the Brundle and Nelson S's. Steve McMaster, good to see him back on here. You can see him in his orange car here. One of our earliest drivers. I think he won our opening 420R series, so very capable, competent driver, and he's putting his car right back at the top of the timing charts. You can see on the left-hand side of your screen the timing for this qualifying session. Christian Shooter currently heads that over David Rowe and then Steve McMaster. And then we got Ryan Hooker, our series sponsor and race instructor for real, out here racing in the virtual world as well. And great to have him on board, and a real world racer of some repute as well. So it's good to have him circulating, and we'll see how he can do. Another runner-up last season on equal points with Christian Cerruta, just missing out on the tiebreaker. But nevertheless, again, regularly features right at the front of our grid, so see how Ryan gets on tonight. Also good to see Paul Fernihoff. He's over the last couple of off-season events, has been really showing his a turn of pace. His Mondrian's sort of liveried car as he heads around here through Corham into Murray's on that start-finish straight. Can he hook together a whole championship season? So he just dips a wheel there onto the gravel as he heads up I don't think that would have cost him too much time. See where he is at the moment, currently in 5th place, just 4/10 off of that pole position. Is he going to improve this time through? He's not going to, so he remains in that. In fact, he's been moved to 5th place as Steve McMaster moves up. Andrew Parker, another driver. You can see him here in his grey and orange machinery coming down towards us. It's the Agostini chicane. He, again, occasionally had issues in the past where I've seen him sort of drop down the order slightly out of championship contention, but nevertheless has taken a couple of championship podiums away. Always fast, and drama is never far away with Andrew. So let's see how he gets on tonight. Our youngest racer on the service, Hudson Knight here. His dad also races with us, so you can see the two Knights. Seeing Jason down in 12th, and Hudson currently the fastest of the two Knights in 7th place. Running very rapidly up there in his machinery. All the way down this grid, though, we've got, say, James Fowler was a runner-up last year in the off-season 420R race series, and we've got Tom McEwing. He was out there at Brands Hatch for real last weekend with the Caterham graduates, turning out some decent results. I think he got a win in one of his races last weekend, so congratulations to Tom McEwing, and look forward to seeing how he gets on throughout the real-world racing. As we will with James Fowler up there in 8th place, just ahead of Tom McEwing on the track. Cherney, like I say, Yaroslav Cherney back on the service in 10th place currently. Matt Shepherd, another real-world racer, and looking to see whether he's going to get out this season, but at the moment he's in his virtual yellow car. And see him here going around the corner, a long, everlasting right-hander, but we have to haul on the anchors and try and get it all hooked up with the apex and fire yourself up this straight. Andrew Parker setting the top time there, and 209.230. So let's get on board with Matt Shepherd. He's got the can be our onboard driver to take you around a lap of this Snetterton circuit. So Rich's turn 1, just ease off that, a little bit of brake just to get the nose tucked in, haul it around and just try and keep within the boundaries before you really do have to stop the car down into the Wilson hairpin. Really late on the brakes there for Matt, just out-braked himself a little bit, didn't he? Never made that apex, so definitely a little one for the next time to brake just a touch earlier. Then we've got the almost flat-out left, or certainly a lift of the throttle as you turn and get that nose tucked in, back on the throttle again, just when you think you'll be able to get away with it. Matt showing exactly how that corner should be done before the next hairpin we've got down here at Agostini. Not quite as tight a hairpin, so again, very late on the brakes. Can he get the apex this time? Yes, he can get that car tucked in. The 270R responding to his inputs that time through. Then we've got the left-hand kink of Hamilton. Just a little bit of a lift just to get the nose in again. Don't hit that tyre barrier, back on the power as soon as you can, ready to pull on the brakes for Oggies. The right-hander, nearly a hairpin. It's a corner that keeps going for a while and nips back on you right here on the exit, so watch for cars drifting onto the gravel. One of the most important corners, get it tucked onto the apex for the long back Bentley straight then. Here's where you sit back, make yourself a cup of tea, have a look what's going on, check your mirrors, see what's going on in front of you, behind you and all around you, because towing's going to be a thing down here, and your next reference point is the bridge that's coming up just as we head into the Brundle-Nelson complex. In real life, it's a daunting set of corners. In the simulator, it's really exciting to throw the car in, get it all hauled up for the right-hander, just drifting slightly as he pushes the right-hander before we then go through the bomb hole. That's the bomb hole, drifting to the apex. Nicely takes as much momentum as you can out to the outside before the longest ever corner in British motorsport, the Caterham right-hander. It goes on forever, hauling the car to the right-hand side before you get on those brakes. Straighten it as much as you can. Make sure you hook that apex and don't drift too wide on the exit. A lot of gravel taken there by Matt Shepherd, but it didn't seem to cost him too much speed as he heads on up the field then. He's showing on his Delta, you can see the Race Logic box, 7/10 off of his best, so he remains in that 12th place, and he'll be seeing what he can do, see whether he can get that braking point done this time. But thank you, Matt, for taking us around this 3-mile, 5-kilometre Snetterton 300 circuit. Just 3 minutes then left of this qualifying session. Christian Sharita still hanging around out the top of the time is there, with Ryan Hooker now moved up into that 2nd place, just 2 and a bit tenths off. And just behind him is Andrew Parker. And we got David Rowe, McMaster, Cherney, Ferniher, Fowler, Knight and Watson making up that top 10. So who else have we got then with us tonight? Alex Ball makes a return this season. Good to see him, see how he can get on in this championship. In his fantastically sort of liveried maze, almost like design on his Caterham here. We've also got Anthony Hamilton. He has been racing with us for quite a few seasons now, and it's really good to see him progressing up the order and making it regularly onto this A grid. I should mention we've got 18 drivers here on grid A tonight. They spent all of yesterday doing pre-qualifying, and in that pre-qualifying session that allocates them to a grid. So the fastest 18 from pre-qualifying yesterday go through to the A grid, and they come and have this broadcast. We get to watch their races. But we've got 15 other drivers sitting on the B grid, and they'll be having an equally exciting time racing this evening, all going towards their championship totals. Two 15-minute races we run here for these championship events. So the finishing order of this first race will be the starting order of the second. But yeah, great to see Anthony Hamilton in his black machinery. So we watch Parker and Tom McEwen going nose to tail. Lots of cars here. There's one of the Hudson, it's Jason Knight followed by Parker. So again, right back in nose to tail. We saw Oglesby earlier. They're getting a bit mullered by Christian Schroeter. He's found a bit of space for himself out there, but he's in that 17th position at the moment. Also out on track is Harvey Lawrence, and he is a real world racer, I think, starting in the 270R class this year, if I'm not mistaken. Sorry if I've got the classes wrong, but Harvey, good to see him. Been a couple of great seasons for him out on track. Just needs that little bit of luck sometimes when he's in the real world racing, and he's certainly applying his trade well in this virtual series as well. It's all good practice, and I'm looking forward to seeing how he gets on with us this season and out there on the track for real. So, under a minute then. Anyone starting a lap can complete that lap. There is Christian Schroeter heading onwards currently in that lead. Is there anyone going to be able to do anything about the lead he has in this qualifying session? We'll keep an eye out on the timing screens to see whether we get anything that looks like it's going to be a flyer. But McMaster, like I said earlier, great to have him back on the service and racing with us. Is he going to be able to throw the cat amongst the pigeons as we see Donkin going up to second place? Still that 2/10 down. In fact, Schroeter's 2:08.969 is the fastest lap I've seen on the service. It's certainly quicker than yesterday's pre-qualifying, so absolutely nailing this Snetterton lap to put it onto that provisional pole position. You can see that the checker flag's out, so anyone who's on a lap can complete. You can see there's quite a few drivers out there on laps, so let's see if any of them are going to make that beat that time. Excuse me. Beat that time. The line by Christian Schroeter. Hudson Knight then coming around this Caterham course. Is there anything he can do? Alex Ball sets a 2:09.906 to push himself up to that 9th place. As Hudson takes that final corner then. Anything going to happen with that time as we ride on board with him as he comes up towards the line, then tucking towards that pit wall to see whether there's any extra time to be had. He does move up to a 9th place, so it moves Alex Ball back down again out of the those positions. So I think nearly everyone is finishing their laps. You can see Paul Ferniehoff just pulling off there into the pit lane. Hopefully no one will actually be needing to use pit lane for real as we conclude then this qualifying session. Let's confirm with you then the results, and it's Christian Schroeter then lining up in that pole position, the first one of the season. He's going to be followed by our 420R Series champion Paul Donkin. Ryan Hooker lines up third ahead of Andrew Parker, David Rowe, Steve McMaster. Yaroslav Cherny lines up 7th, Paul Ferniehoff in 8th place, Hudson Knight 9th, and Alex Ball rounding out that top 10. And then we get followed by James Fowler, Richard Watson, Tom McEwen, Matt Shepherd finds himself 14th, Jason Knight in 15th, Anthony Hamilton 16th, 17th Paul Osby, and then we've got Harvey Lawrence in that 18th position. So 2 15-minute races then on offer for our drivers tonight. and they will soon be lining up on that grid. Christian Chiruta, like I say, 3-time champion here in our sort of championship season, so very well versed in being able to string together a series of results. But he is surrounded by other people who also have that capability with Donkin, Hooker and Andrew Parker. If traditionally, if anyone lets Christian Chiruta get away, he will disappear off the road. But Paul Donkin has shown that clean pair of heels to people as well in the past. So can he get ahead as they all start to line up on the grid? Let's get ourselves down there with them. As you can see them all here, then let's show you this magnificent grid of 18 cars here on that Snetterton circuit. 15 minutes ahead of them into race 1, and then however they finish in race 1 will be their starting order for race 2. We're also running damage on our championship events, so if they do make contact with other drivers, then they will potentially break component parts or engines if they down change too quickly. So watch out for mechanicals. Keeps everyone on their toes and make sure that they are racing clean. Christian Chiruta on the right hand side of your screen then in that white and bright yellow, luminous yellow Brawn liveried car. Paul Donkin in his red and white car, followed by Ryan Hooker, white and green, with Andrew Parker, grey and orange. David Rowe comes in the DPR colours, another series sponsor, and thank you very much to David and all the team down at DPR for your support for this service. And we'll talk about them as the evening goes on. Then we've got Steve McMaster in his orange machinery, Yaroslav Cherny in the red machinery, and we have Paul Ferniehoff in the Mondrian sort of inspired car there, lining out in that 8th place. Who is going to make the best start then to this season? No one's going to bet too far against Christian, but they have got to keep themselves well behaved, and they've got to get around these opening corners and laps first. That's their first job of the day, and that's not always easy. This might be the most spread out we see these cars at times throughout this race, so they can all relax into it. New race start, always time for a little bit of nerves, but you can see the lights are up on the screen then, and it's time to get this season underway. Season 12 here at caterhamracer.com, 2024 Caterham Championship. We have got the 6 lights up. When they go out, we'll be underway. Great start by Christian Chiruta there off the line, and a clean start by the whole field. No one dropping down or looking like they've missed a gear. So they're going to head up here then into Riches for the first time. Christian Chiruta sweeps out wide. That's his Donkin's late on the brakes there down the inside, and that's going to give him the inside for the Wilson hairpin. And they just tuck it to that inside. Ryan Hooker seeing if he can get any tow as they haul on the anchors. See whether everyone can make it through this time. Certainly looks like they've all got it all stopped. Paul Donkin is the winner of that. Christian Chiruta out over the curbs, as are a number of other drivers, including Hudson Knight, as they come into the left of Palmer this time through. Christian up the inside. Ryan Hooker trying to go all the way around the outside, and I think he's actually made that stick. He is. Ryan Hooker then up into the second place, using all his race experience to manoeuvre his car into that position. Chiruta then has dropped down to 3rd place in the early part of this lap. Parker's maintained his 4th place, and David Rowe is ready to see whether he can move it up into that lead battle. We often see Donkin and Rowe circulating on practice days, nose to tail, so he'll certainly be wanting to have a little play and tickle. A little bit of contact there, it looked like, between Chiruta and Hooker as they went around that the right of Oggies. We see them then going down the Bentley straight for the first time. McMaster is there alongside Hudson Knight, sort of fanning out this huge field, then heading down towards Brundle and Nelson. Who's going to make the best of this? David Rowe nudging Parker as they head down there. A little bit of a bump draft almost heading into that. He doesn't want to do that too often. The car will start to play foul, or could start to complain about that side-by-side action a little bit further back. I think that was Tom McEwing and maybe Oglesby, Tom McEwing racing with James Fowler, I think, side by side as they came through the Brundle Nelson. We've been through Bomb Hole, now we're into Coram, that everlasting right-hander. David Rowe sitting just behind Parker then. They're all a bit line astern right now, and that's just good to see them all surviving. Hudson Knight drafting a bit wide there. We also saw the white car there, and that is Richard Watson dropping his wheel onto that. You can see the dust in the background. Still watching that DPR liveried car. This 270R race car, 135 horsepower in the Ford Singer engine car. brand new on our servers a couple of seasons back, and really one of the driver favourites. Andrew Parker, very late move down the inside of Ryan Hooker there, but got it done. So Ryan Hooker, after being in second place, now finds himself shuffled back into that fourth place. I think we're going to see that more often as we go through this race. There's going to be shuffling going on. But David Rowe just breaking clear now of Yaroslav Cherny, who's got through from his, I think, around 10th place starting position now to see whether he can push forward and keep with this opening group. Alex Ball making a great start there. He's up to 7th from what was a deep. I think he was in, to 11th place on the grid, was it? So he's made some good progress early doors and looks like he's ready to push further forward. Steve McMaster there in 8th place, so also well within reach of this front group. Paul Ferniehoff dropping a little bit, got Richard Watson just behind him, so not the opening he'd want, but he's still in the running, still very much in that battle. Tom McEwen coming through the field after his real world antics this last weekend at Brands Hatch. We'll see him out with the Caterham graduates and the Caterham Motorsport season this year. It's actually nose to tail between Tom McEwen and James Fowler. James Fowler, another real world racer. These two are used to driving with each other out on track, and looks like James Fowler might have the inside line, but McEwen's going to hold on round that outside there. Is the switch back on? It looks like it might be, so James Fowler looking to see whether he can go back up the inside of a bum hole, and there he does. So it's going to be James Fowler there, and all that sort of racing antics has let Matt Shepherd come into the mix. He's put his nose right down the inside, seeing whether he can get alongside Tom McEwen. He doesn't have to, he has to pull out of that manoeuvre. It just looks like this battle, though, is building. Something out front, so Duncan has got a little bit of a gap here, but Parker is now fully along with Christian Schruter. You can see him absolutely up the rear of Christian Schruter's number 2 Braun liveried car. As we head round then into the hairpin for the first time with Ryan Hooker, also looking to see what he can do. Dave Rowe just watching to hopefully pick up all the pieces. Ryan Hooker on the tight line there, looks like he might be able to make something happen. Christian Schruter losing out once more as he heads over that curb, upsets the car and loses a little bit of momentum, but he does gather it all together. Ryan Hooker trying for that outside pass again, not working this time through, and all this time they're just letting Donkin get a small gap as Alex Ball heads the chase group. So he moves up another place ahead of Cherny then. Yaroslav Cherny in the red machine looking to see whether he can get back, and he does with McMaster on his tail as well. A little bit of a rear end step out contact there between Cherny and Cherny and it was Alex Ball, wasn't it? They just had a bit of side-to-side wheel contact. It's all ended up pointing in the right way, but Richard Watson enjoying to see that, as well as Paul Ferniehoff, so they can get involved in this battle as well. Good to see the cars ending up pointing in the right direction. That could have ended in any direction at the moment. Let's hope they've got no damage from that. It certainly looked like light enough contact that they wouldn't. You can see it's now the job of Tom McEwen to see whether he can get back across those gaps to the battles happening in front of them. You can see up front there's more contact here in the lead group there. That was Ryan Hooker going sideways, and looked like he might have had an incident with Christian Schruter, who is also now dropping down. He's down into that 6th place in this battle that we were just watching, and he's now got McMaster all over his rear panel. McMaster is tucked on the inside. He's going to lose another place as he heads around. He's trying to hold on around the outside. Not easy to do there, but I think he's going to make that stick. It's going to be compromised all the way up this next start-finish straight. But Ryan Hook and Christian Schruter have seen themselves drop away from that lead battle then. They found themselves in an absolute squabble here heading up the Senna straight, going up towards Richardson, over to start another lap. That is the start of their 4th lap in the bag, so this is the start of their 5th lap. More contact between Alex Ball and Cherny, who just lost the car a little bit on that exit. Now Cherny, is he going to give that back? There's nowhere to go. We've got Christian Schruter coming down the inside. I told you the start-finish straight was going to be the most spread out they got, and I wasn't lying, was I? They've absolute going side by side by side as this pack of Caterhams, this angry pack of Caterhams, swarming over each other. Fantastic action out here on this Snetterton 300 circuit. Really does whet your appetite for the real world racing that we've got coming up in just 10 days. The real world motorsport, Caterham Motorsport, will be heading to Snetterton in just not next weekend, the weekend after, and really looking forward to seeing that action out there. And this is certainly a good appetizer. We've got three-way battle once more. There was no room for 3 cars there, but somehow they made it work. Ryan Hooker is just in front then of Christian Chiruta, who goes back onto that gravel late on the brakes. There really isn't any space between this. One of the cars going wide. There's that Richard Watson heading off wide there. So he's sort of he found an escape route from the pressure cooker that is this race. As Ryan Hooker goes onto the that's going to be onto out of Wilson and onto the back straight. That's really not the right place to do that. So that does mean Christian Chiruta moves up then. So we look these at nothing between it. Alex Ball there right on the tail of Christian Chiruta as they come down into this Brundle Nelson complex. You can see all the cars concertina up. That's McMaster right now on the back of Ryan Hooker with Paul Fernier for the great exit out of that corner. Can he do anything? He can't got anywhere to use that speed out front. We do need to check in with our leading cars, and they are heading still 3 of them out front. Dogkin leads Parker, leads Rowe. At the moment, though, that gap is sufficient that it's more interesting for us to watch this battle with Cherney leading this chase pack around. This is the battle from 3rd, 4th down to about 15th. So great to see this out on circuit. Christian Chiruta trying to line up once more. Absolutely no still. A little bit of bump drafting there, so choosing to actually manoeuvre Alex Ball a little bit further forward rather than dip out of the slipstream. In real world, you don't really do that with your Caterham because it will damage your radiator, and he having to now to defend from Ryan Hooker was down the inside. Now Chiruta does dive down the inside on the Wilson hairpin. Nicely hooks up the apex. He was late on the brakes but still managed to hook everything up. A great bit of car control there on show. Very difficult to do with the pressure that we've got at the moment. Cherney's just there out of reach, but he's... Oh, we got another... Is that contact between Ball and Ryan Hooker that time through Palmer? Sorry, through... Yeah, it is Palmer's on that left-hander. So, again, a little bit of a confusion there. So, racing this tight, it's always going to have a little bit of contact here and there. And just unfortunate that time that Ryan Hooker found himself sideways. Didn't see what instigated that, but not ideal. Battling continues there. Who was that locking up? That's Richard Watson. Was it locking his rear tyres up, sending him scattering as Fernioff had to take avoiding action? That moves Hudson Knight back into the mix there in the tail end of this top 10, but the battles are absolutely raging throughout this field. You can see the cars now a bit more strung out as they head down the Bentley Straight from that battle pack that we were seeing, but it's almost like that concertina effect is moving the battle further down the order. Here's McEwing and Watson going side by side. McEwing holding on around the outside. We've seen him do that on Fowler, and now he's managed to do the same thing on Watson. As that's Matt Shepherd losing the rear end of his car, and he clatters the barrier in the background there. So really unfortunate for Matt Shepherd. He's got the car, in fact, I think he's sustained damage and he's gone back to the pit lane. So very sad end to Matt Shepherd. You can just see the rear of the car step out. There was no collecting that together. Big contact with the barriers, and that caused damage. We now have Christian Chiruta looking to see what he can do about Yaroslav Cherney. He's going to the outside as they come over the line this time. We've got 4 minutes of this race to go. Chiruta on the outside of the Riches and does manage to sweep around Cherney. So he came across that gap, moves himself back into that 4th place. Remember, he was leading and then in 2nd place before the issue between him and Ryan Hooker sent them both tumbling down that order. And Ryan Hooker subsequently had additional issues, which meant he's ended up in 12th place, whereas Christian's managed to fight his way back into that 4th place battle. Check in then on the leaders, and Donkin has definitely not got it all his own way. Parker has come across that gap. There is only 3 tenths between them, and within half a second here on the simulator world, you do get the extra toe caused by the car driving in front of you, so he is well within that margin. David Rowe looking to see whether he can do anything, and if these two start battling, that 1.3 seconds gap back to David Rowe will evaporate very quickly, and here comes the battling to start. Parker looking to see whether he can do anything. Just the lightest of contacts there upsets the rear of Donkin's car, but he gathers it all back together as they head around back down onto the Bentley Straight then. the Williams circuits corner is the one I couldn't keep forgetting. So as Williams goes round that corner and onto the back straight. Here comes then Parker alongside as they head down into Brundle and Nelson. Has he timed this perfectly with 2.5 minutes left to go? Well, Donkin's not giving it up just yet because he holds on round the outside and Parker has to stick in that second place. He's going to go for the inside move down to the bomb hole as they head round now then. And it does look like he has got that line. He sweeps across the nose. Can he keep it all in play? Just about as they head round this right-hander at Caterham then. It is now Parker heading this field ahead of Donkin, ahead of David Rowe, who has come across that gap. It was 1.3 seconds. It is now no longer that. They're absolutely no to tell. Is Rowe going to also demote Donkin down? It looked like Donkin might have made a little break for it. But over the course of this race, he's just lost out those couple of tenths he needed to keep ahead. And now it is absolutely nose to tail for this race one. Who is going to take this? Can they all hold it together? We've got a minute 50 left to go. So I believe we will very likely be starting the last lap because the timer will have run out by the time we get back to that start-finish straight with a 2:10. It's now Parker out for Donkin down the middle. David Rowe down the inside. Who's going to make this stick? David Rowe holds on down the inside. He overtakes them both going into the Wilson hairpin that time through. He has moved his DPR machinery up into the lead of this race then, with Donkin now in that second place and Andrew Parker finding himself back down in third place. What can they do to sort this order out as they head round? There's still plenty of overtaking opportunities. We've got first of all Agostini just coming down to that now. Another left-hand hairpin. David Rowe down the inside, protecting, looking like they're around the outside for Donkin. Surely that can't work. Parker watching on to see whether he can do anything. Donkin loses the rear of the car, and there's contact between Parker and Donkin. As Donkin lost the rear of the car, Parker just had to try and avoid him. Everyone again pointing in the right direction. That gives David Rowe just a little bit of breathing gap. You can see behind that Christian Sharita's not going to join in this battle unless they make significant contact. And then we've got Cherney on his tail as well. But who is going to win in this opening battle, this opening race of Season 12 at caterhamracer.com, the 2024 Caterham Championship season? 50 points on offer for the winner. It looks like David Rowe's holding on to them at the moment. He is still within that toe distance for Donkin, who doesn't choose to sit there though. So at the moment it looks like we are going to go into this tail end of this lap. We've got just about 4 corners remaining, and at the moment that gap, the battle that like it was building, may well have settled itself down, but that could be commentator's curse. You see Christian Sharita there sweeping around that. Looks like he's going to tie together that 4th place nicely. Think they're going to be breathing a sigh of relief that it's nearly over, this first race. But don't forget, we've got a second race coming, and they will start that race in the same order they finished. So we've got another 15 minutes of this, but it does look like it's going to be David Rowe then. So he heads around Murray's and out onto the start-finish straight for the last time. He is going to take this opening win then. David Rowe from Paul Donkin. And then we have Andrew Parker leading behind within that 3rd place. Fantastic to see this. Christian Sharita comes over that line then in 4th place. Larisav Cherney in 5th. So we get the camera to watch that line. There's Ryan Hooker finishing down in that 11th place, side by side between Oglesby and Knight there. Jason Knight that was. And so let's just recap. I'll recap anyway, but David Rowe taking that win, Paul Donkin, then it's Andrew Parker taking that 3rd place in the final podium spot. Then we got Christian Sharita came across in 4th after recovery. Cherney, McMaster, McEwing, Ferniehoff, Hudston, Knight, and we got Richard Watson, Ryan Hooker, Alex Ball, Oglesby, Knight, Lawrence. Breathless first race there. So once again then you can see in a time of 15 minutes 14 seconds 0.253 David Rowe completing 7 laps to finish P1, takes 50 points. Paul Donkin takes that 2nd place, just 4 tenths behind him at the finishing line, and he takes 48 points that, and then Andrew Parker takes 47 for that 3rd place, obviously just behind as well. Then Christian Sharita, Yaroslav Cherney, Steve McMaster, Tom McEwing, Paul Ferniehoff, Hudson Knight finishes in that 9th place, just gaining that 1 from his opening his starting position. Richard Watson, after competing middle of that race, drifting to that end of the top 10 there. Then Ryan Hooker again, and driver we saw moving to the lead at one point, finds himself by the end of that race in 11th. He's going to have to do a bit of a recovery to try and recover some points. Alex Ball also involved. Jason Knight sort of watched everyone have accidents around him and all disappear off down the road and then come back to him. Paul Oglesby Harvey Lawrence, Anthony Hamilton, Matt Shepherd and James Fowler. Didn't see where it happened to James Fowler, but we did see Matt Shepherd have that issue. So well done everyone to getting to the end of that race, and I'm sure they're all having a little bit of a breather in the pit lane, maybe a little bit of a conversation about what to expect for this next one, but certainly an exciting start to season 12 here at caterhamracer.com. If you're watching this and wondering how do you get involved, well, why not head over to caterhamracer.com. The website will have all the information about how do you join and how do you get involved in this fast and frantic racing action. And yeah, it's always good to have new members along. We do a virtual driver's license test we call it our VARDS session, and that just makes sure that you can control the sim. You're not a liability out there on track, and really we look to recreate the real world racing as much as we can. And so that getting your driver's license is all part of that. So yeah, head to caterhamracer.com if you want to find out how do you do that. But we have got our second 15-minute race for you just about to start setting themselves up on the grid. And David Rowe, absolutely in the right place at the right time, wasn't he? Paul Duncan always found it looked like he might break away at the beginning, but just never managed it. So such was the speed. And Andrew Parker nearly timed it right. 1 lap to go. He was the sitting pretty, but it all just fell apart for him in that last lap. And Christian Chiruta back where he wants to be, right at the front of this grid. So he will now figure again, no doubt. Few recoveries to come back through, including Ryan Hooker then, as we will follow his antics as he heads on through. So I can see the cars are now getting themselves back onto the grid, so let's get out there and join them here at the Snetterton circuit up in Norfolk. Like I say, the real world Caterham Motorsport ladders, 4 of the ladders will be up there. David Rowe's got his steering slightly to the left. I don't know whether, and in fact Christian Chiruta's got his steering to the left as well, so hopefully they'll notice that before they try and head off the grid. But yep, a Norfolk track, and we will be there with the real Caterham Motorsport, 4 of the ladder. So we got the Road Sports, the 270s, the 310s, and the 7 Championship UK cars all racing at the Snetterton circuit in, say, 10 days' time. Make sure you get out there on the banks and come and watch the racing for real. David Rowe then, DPR Motorsport delivery car, came from deep in the field. I think 6th to 8th place was his starting point in that race, and he managed to come through to take the win. DPR, very thankful for their sponsorship of the series, and Caterham Motorsport team with great prowess. They've many championships, and they have got a fantastic simulator set up down in their Red Hill workshop. And do contact them if you are interested in learning the art of sim racing, or if you want to get out on track for real, or even if you just own a Caterham and want to have one of the best in the business looking after that. As Donkin, his steering wheel is now fully to the left. They're all flexing their steering muscles as they head out here then. So we're just still waiting for the stewards to get everything ready before we get going again. Let's see whether they can again avoid getting any jump start penalties. You can see the lights coming up then on the screen as we get ready to start race 2 then. Another 50 points on offer for anyone who can survive it and stay out in front of the rest of the field. Who's going to make the best start? Can Donkin wreak his revenge? Let's get going. Good start by Christian Chiruta there from the second row as well. Everyone else nice and even away. All the drivers that had their mechanicals in that first race are back out there as we head into then turn 1. David Rowe sweeps around the outside, takes the early lead. Donkin, absolutely no gap between him and David Rowe's rear panel right up front. Christian Chiruta has made that position up into 3rd place. Cherney holding on to 4th, and Parker just losing out a couple of spots there into 5th place now. And McEwing making a great start there in that green machine. You can see him ahead of Paul Fernie-Huff as another pack of cars headed by McMaster there, heading through Palmer's. And there's Ryan Hooker on his recovery drive, already making up places in 10th place currently, and seeing if he can make any more of that. David Rowe holding on as they go down there. Really late on the brakes by Donkin. He did manage to get it all stopped, but it was looking quite hairy at one point in this Caterham 270R race machinery. One of the fantastic cars to drive in real world, and this simulator car version is also brilliantly put together by Steve Arnell. Steve Arnell's not racing with us today, but it would be good to see him back and racing a little bit later in the season. David Rowe really late and wide round Oggies. They come then onto the back of the Bentley Straight. I think it's the longest straight in UK motorsport, and a real opportunity for all the drivers to get that full tow, see whether they've got anything to go. Donkin is going to make the best of that tow. Christian Scheruter diving down the inside here, through other contact with him and David Rowe. He was a really late lunge, and Jaroslav Cherny also caught up with that. We've got cars facing the wrong direction. That is going to be an absolute melee of cars, and just about most of them get through, although there's still some real awkward. That's Matt Shepherd's car riding over the rear of one of the others. They really was most awkward place to really have that sideways on cars as they were heading down Brundle and Nelson. It's really a very awkward thing to happen indeed. Most got through, but I think there might be some people who were licking their wounds with some car damage there as well, as we watch the pieces get picked up. Heading up then the start-finish straight. That was dramatic indeed. It would have been very uncomfortable for all those drivers as they headed round there. The car's on the absolute edge of adhesion anyway, and there's really not a lot of manoeuvring. You get Tom McEwen clips that curb and just about stays in front of Jaroslav Cherny, but Cherny's got the inside line now for the Wilson hairpin. Paul Fernioff looking around the outside. Again, we're watching brief for him, seeing whether he can pick up those pieces. At the moment, that's working well. He's in that 5th place. You can see Donkin out front as the rest of the cars start coming through. Donkin is out front ahead of Parker, then Jaroslav Cherny, Tom McEwen and Paul Fernioff, the battle we're watching on screen now. Alex Ball and then the David Rowe sits there behind. So where did Christian Scheruter end up? He ended up down in 14th position, and I wouldn't be surprised if he has got a little bit of damage on that car. You can see him just behind Ryan Hooker here, just ahead of Oglesby, so we'll see whether his car has got any handling issues. We'll see whether he can make progress back through the field. And Matt Shepherd, we saw his car airborne, so I wouldn't be surprised after that horrible corner there in the first race, same place, he got caught up in someone else's accident this time. So not a night to remember for Matt Shepherd just yet. But Paul Donkin's looking in his rearview mirrors and chuckling to himself. He's got Andrew Parker for company. But then we have a fairly sizable gap back to Jaroslav Cherny. Tom McEwen has made some good progress this over the course of these 2 races. And he tails Jaroslav Cherny, looking to see what he can do. And Paul Fernioff again still watching. David Rowe is there. Alex Ball losing the rear of the car again as he went around there. But he got it all hooked back up again in front of Steve McMaster. Brushing off his cobwebs after a sort of a stay of absence away from sim racing, but now back with us, and great to have him here. But it's certainly been an induction of fire. He's being followed by Harvey Lawrence, who's also made good progress through the field. He started in 18th after, I think, submitting to track limits issues in qualifying, but he's up and found his way up to 9th place as we going into this sort of early phase of race 2. You can still see Tom McEwen up front there. I mean, still a ding-dong battle with Cherny round the outside into Richardson, so he's made another position up. Finds himself in a podium-paying position indeed for a virtual trophy as he heads down into Wilson. Paul Fernioff still clinging on in there, seeing whether he can do anything. And he's got David Rowe chasing hard behind him. Just about half a second back, so not too far away. They head around then. This is the left-hander of Palmer's. Alex Ball just following him. McMaster. Then it's Harvey Lawrence. Hudson Knight. Ryan Hooker still finds himself quite ensconced back down in 11th, so really only made 1 place so far from his starting position. It's all closing up once more there, wasn't it, between the McEwen battle. He's right onto the grass. It's grippy grass out there, and he just about manages to hook it all back onto the circuit without losing a position, but he has lost some momentum, and it's bunched up this battle once more. McEwen heads Cherny, heads Fernioff. Bentley Straight once more. Time to sit back and relax if you can, but there's no relaxing for the for this pack. as they jinking to the outside. Cherney's chosen this time. Is that going to work out around this left-hander? We've seen it work for McEwing earlier in the evening, so can Cherney do to McEwing what he's done to other people? Yes, he does hold on to the outside line. Does compromise him though, coming up into the bomb hole, and it looks like McEwing will get back up the inside then. Tight, but Cherney still managed to sweep across. Still not decided this battle, and behind David Rowe and Alex Ball also squabbling as they go round Coram then. Tyres are screaming enough as they head around this right-hander, but you've still got to ask them to do more because they've got to get the car down to about 50 miles an hour for that left-hand apex. David Rowe clipping the apex curb there, and really that upset the balance of his car, but he just about managed to keep it all on the tarmac and still ahead of Alex Ball. This trio fighting their way up now into Riches. McEwing back up the inside of Cherney into Riches and makes that stick and work again. Cherney outside on the dusty patch. That's going to cost him time as Paul Hernihoff's looking to see whether he can do anything about going on the end. He's going to go with sandwich down the middle. That was he backed away from that, and I don't blame him. That was not looking like a very high percentage chance of working. We saw it earlier on. It did cause a bit of a kerfuffle, so I think the wise choice there by the white car to pull out. Battle behind, looks like they might be catching. We've still got Paul Donkin out in the lead then. Second behind him is Andrew Parker. So that gap is sort of remaining a bit constant at the moment, with Tom McEwing in that third place. Still 6 seconds back and leading this pack. So we're drifting further and further afield. You can see that in the background Ryan Hook has made a couple of places ahead now of Harvey Lawrence as he sweeps around Hamilton this time through. You can see his for-hire car. He's a race instructor in the simulator world, but also in the real world, and he's a regular instructor in the Caterham graduates as well as the official motorsport season, and he brings along himself and a team of instructors, and they have a really slick operation around the Caterham track. So do go and say hello if you see his Caterham truck out there. It's in this green and white livery that you can see on his car, so you can't really miss it if you're in one of the real world paddocks. Who's out wide there? Was that Cherney out wide onto the grass? Don't know whether he got put there or whether it was a mistake, but now Ferniehoff found himself up into that fourth place then. That would be a nice result if he can make that stick for the final 6.5 minutes of this race. David Rowe, though, looking to see whether he can do anything about Alex Ball. They've been having a ding-dong for the last couple of laps, and that's brought... McMaster, who's lost the rear of the car, and he's sliding to the inside. I've lost him on the cameras. He's gone to a bit of the car. He's just recovering back. You can see the dust and dirt there as he recovers back to the circuit. He was on a bit of the track I don't really remember seeing. We said last lap through that the tyres are crying enough, and that was perfect example of that. We see Alex Ball and David Rowe going side by side once more into Riches, hits that curb, but does just manage to keep it all under control, and is tucking to the inside to protect down there in that simulator. Well, there's contact as he pulls it back there. That was a little bit of a cheeky manoeuvre there by David Rowe to really try and put off Alex Ball, but Alex Ball's having none of it, and he's certainly taking the bull by the horn, isn't he? And Hudson Knight behind, having now a battle with Harvey Lawrence and Christian Saruta. They come through as a trio coming into the final 5 minutes of this, and Saruta is down the inside of Hudson. James Fowler not too far behind. David Rowe down the inside then of Alex Ball, this time into Agostini. Christian Saruta, a late lunge. Harvey Lawrence also locked up there down the inside of Hudson. Hudson holding on there with the speed around the outside. The more contact, and Hudson gets speared into the barrier. His car was there. I'm not sure whether Harvey Lawrence was aware that he was still on the outside. He's kind of... it was a reducing gap that Hudson put his car into then. It's hard to see from our camera angles, but he certainly came off worse, and there was significant contact with the barriers. It looks like he's able to drive off, but whether his car is in full working order, that's tough to know right now. As we watch this battle, and Paul Ferniehoff having to defend from a recovering Cherney, who dives down the inside then. Paul Ferniehoff does leave him that little bit of room. He's going to hover the inside, but Cherney's going to be able to fight back and get the overlap as they go into bomb hole. Doesn't work this time through though, so Ferniehoff holds on, and the chasing pack now is head by David Rowe, ahead of Ryan Hook, who's made some really good progress now, right back with David Rowe. Two people who are going to definitely be competing for this championship as all the cars are in front. It really is an exciting prospect. I think there's 6 more events of this season to go, all the way taking us all the way through to October. As I say, following the same season that the official motorsport does, we just race 10 days ahead of them. And a lot of the drivers that you see here have either raced those series or will be racing with them this season. So some really good experience out there, and showing that the virtual world of racing is just as alive as the real world Club Motorsport series. Journey making around the outside, but Paul Fernhoff still sticking it down the inside there. Just a little bit of two cars converging on one bit. Ryan Hooker loses the rear of the car. Looks like he's going to lose a bit of a position and time to Alex Ball. David Rose now going to be able to scamper away. Journey down the inside this time. Does look like he's made that stick, but they have let McEwing go and sort of solidify that third place. Only 3 minutes of this race left to go. Our leaders, though, Parker has managed to take that. I think Donkin just made a mistake going into Agostini. So same as the last race, Parker has come good just as the tail end of this race is approaching. He's in the lead. Can he now hold on for 3 minutes? This is going to be the penultimate lap, isn't it? So he's got this one and the next one to hold on for. Last time it didn't work out so well as David Rose slung it down the inside of them going into the Wilson hairpin. But at the moment that gap looks good for our Andrew Parker. So like I say, he has finished in third place a couple of times in our sort of seasons past, and certainly taken one of our series events as well. So very competitive driver, and tonight showing that he's putting it all together into what could be a championship charge certainly early in this season. As pack continues racing, Fernhoff and Cherney have been joined by the chase pack. David Rowe, Ryan Hooker, and then following then it's Alex Ball. This has been, I mean, we're going to keep with this a little bit. I think we'll keep an eye on that gap at the front there, but really it's so exciting to see these cars sort of racing like a pack of I'm not sure, animals, I guess. It's raging. Paul Fernhoff out onto the grass. More contact there as he bumps over the curb. Everyone manages to just about end up pointing in the right direction, but we have got a four-wide situation. Ryan Hooking seeing whether he can stick his car where the others don't want it. Cherney finds himself out in the lead. Alex Ball going down the inside. That's going to be brave. He doesn't quite make it. There's more contact. Ryan Hooker, the seas parted for him, and he has made a little bit of momentum run. Alex Ball and David Rowe cost each other time. Here comes Christian Chiruta as well late in the race. 1 minute 24. This is going to be the last lap of this race, and so far this is the one to watch. You can see out front Tom McEwing is still there. Andrew Parker still holding onto that lead, and we do have to be careful that we don't miss him across the line. David Rowe drifting wide onto the marbles. This has been an action-packed bit of the race for this tail end. In the background I can see Andrew Parker's still got about 6/10 over Donkin as they head down then Agostini, this battle pack. Ryan Hooker has found his way all the way up to 5th place. He has managed this situation well, showing his experience and knowledge out there of how to manage that. Alex Ball still holding on to 2nd. He went down the inside 3 wide that time through, and it caused a little bit of an issue for drivers behind. David Rowe got caught out, as did Paul Fernhoff. And it's Harvey Lawrence coming up fast behind them as well to see whether he can act as interference. As we head down then this long back straights for the final time. Let's check in on our leaders. It looks like Andrew Parker may well have this all sewn up with Paul Donkin. So we wait then for the chase group to come down. It's Cherney still looking like he's going to make that stick. But who's going to come out behind them? It's currently Ryan Hooker. Christian Chiruta around the outside of Alex Ball. He's going to make that stick as he goes tucks in the inside. Alex holding on. See whether they can go side by side as they're going into the bomb hole this time. Followed on by Fernhoff, who still heads David Rowe. Paul Fernhoff, more contact between Alex Ball and Paul Fernhoff. We're going to have to cut to our leaders to watch them across the line. And it is going to be Andrew Parker who takes that victory then, after it was denied to him in that first time through. But there's Donkin taking that 2nd place. Let's watch our screens to see who's going to come up. Tom McEwing takes that 3rd place. Then we've got Cherney. It's going to be Ryan Hooker into that 5th place. Chiruta follows him, got ahead of looks like Alex Ball and Paul Fernhoff there in those tail end of the racing. So as I try and recover things back down as we watch the Knight and then Anti-Hamperton coming over. Oglesby now coming across in that 16th. Matt Shepherd, eventful weekend evening for him. And Hudson seeing himself, I think, with a damaged car and then crossing the line in 18th. Let's have a look at a recap then. Oof, what a race. Andrew Parker came out on top. Headed Paul Duncan by 1.2 seconds at the end. Absolutely came good. Andrew Parker right at the time that it counted. And Paul Duncan heading Tom McEwen by quite a sizable gap by the end. But Tom, I'm sure, will be happy with that third place. Cherney ended up with fourth place. Came through after all the drama. Ryan Hooker fighting his way back to fifth place. Christian Scheruter fighting his way back to sixth. And Alex Ball and Paul Ferniehoff. David Rowe found himself in that ninth. Disappointing end for him after the win in that opening event. Not what he would have wanted. Harvey Lawrence coming through to finish in 10th place. So a great result for him in his, I think, first championship event with us. James Fowler in 11th place. Richard Watson found himself in 12th by the end. Steve McMaster found himself down in 13th. Jason Knight, Anthony Hamilton, Oglesby, Matt Shepherd and Hudson Knight completed our 18-car A grid. Fantastic action here. And just to recap, we'll try and get some interviews with our drivers, but I'm just going to see whether we can read out what our race one on the B grid. Daniel Tarboner headed home, Keith Holt and then Will Rayson took third place, so congratulations to our B grid drivers as well. But I think it's let's see whether we can chat to various drivers. I'll try and get the top three from each race. So let's start, why not, with Andrew Parker, our winner of that second race, and also came in third place in that first race. Andrew, have you got us in the commentary box?
Good evening, Cheesy.
What a breathless start to the season. Absolutely no holds barred, no quarter given, and you nearly came good twice, but it absolutely worked out the second time.
Yeah, chuffed with that. I'm more of a slow and steady sort of journeyman of Caterham Racer. So to start like this, I'm sure it's dooming me to failure, but we'll never know. We'll put the time in and have another go next time.
I mentioned earlier that you've been a bridesmaid a few times, but holding it together for the whole season, that would be the dream, right?
Yeah, it'd be great. I've got a bunch of second and thirds. This is only my second race win as well, I think. So, onwards and upwards.
And nearly made it a double. It would say you absolutely put your car in the right place, but just one lap too early.
Yeah, I think Donks and Rowe had a little inside deal there.
Okay.
Going up the inside of T1 on the last lap is just going to bring third place into play, which might have been the plan.
It was certainly exciting to watch, that's for sure. All right, well, great start to the season. We look forward to seeing you as the season progresses.
All right, cheers, mate. Take care.
All right, let's have a word with Paul Donkin. Good evening, Donks. How are you going? Have you got me in the commentary box? Let's give you a chance to see whether you're...
Hello.
Ah, there you go.
Hello, there we go. Sorry about that, Chris. You okay?
Yeah, very well. Yes. How are you? Are you tired and sweaty after that one?
Yeah, not too bad. Obviously, only just made it on. It's never a good idea just jumping in for quali, but we did all right. Didn't really have the ultimate pace, which was a shame, but kept out of trouble, unlike a lot. So it was all right. Yeah,
there was an awful lot going on, and 2 second places is certainly nothing to be worried about, really.
No, it's all right. It's a good start. Obviously, this car's a bit different to what I'm used to, but slowly getting my head around it and quite enjoying it, to be honest. Yeah, so
quite a few different cars for you to grapple with this season, not just the 420R, but obviously looking forward to your opening round at Snetterton in just 10 days' time.
Yeah, it's come around quite quick. Obviously, we had a difficult one last time, but we've done some testing there. Everything looks good. The car's obviously ready to go, so we'll see how we get on, and I'll look forward to seeing you there.
Absolutely. See you there.
Brilliant. Cheers, Chris.
All right, and let's see whether... I think David Rowe might have clocked off. I can't see him on the channel anymore, so fortunately we can't chat with David Rowe and see how he got on. But if Tom McEwing's about, we'll catch up with him. Tom, have you got us in the commentary box?
Yeah, hey Chris.
Hey, so your real world racing started with what looked like a good weekend at Brands Hatch, but the virtual racing sort of following on.
Yes, I think I was luckier in the virtual world than the real world. Definitely finished higher than I should have done pace-wise, but benefited from others causing a bit of chaos and kept my nose clean, and it worked out well.
I was going to say, there was a lot of chaos, and somehow you steered your way through to take that podium, and I guess good points for the season, really.
Yeah, absolutely. I think on the sim, Snetterton's definitely not one of my strongest tracks, so picking up some decent results here is very useful for the season, and hopefully I can improve in the coming rounds.
And are we going to see you in the... I know we're going to see you in some Caterham graduate races. Are you going to be in the official season this year as well? Or what's your plans?
Possibly as a guest. Currently going to do the trophy with the grads, do Brands GP with 7 Racing, and then may guest here and there with the official championship.
Tick some more bucket list items off your list.
Yeah, exactly. Just trying out a few different things this year, and maybe have another run at a full championship next year.
Excellent stuff. Well done, and we will speak to you again soon.
Cheers, Cheesy.
All right, then. I think that will conclude tonight's action. Let's just remind you of what we've got coming up. We have got... next up is Zandvoort in the Caterham 420R. We're going to be here racing it all again, 24th of April. Then we got Silverstone, 5th of June, Cadwell Park, 3rd of July, Knock Hill Superheader, 24th of July, Brands Hatch Indy on the 21st of August, and then we will have a final event at Donington National on the 2nd of October. And as we've been mentioning, lots going on in the official Caterham Motorsport season, and this weekend, you can see top left of your screen there, Kerber Sprint is happening on the 6th of April. That's the first Academy event there, sprint event. Looking forward to seeing that. And if you're on the YouTube, why not go and search out the Academy Racer, a new documentary series following Sam Parker, my co-commentator, presenter of the live streams for the Real Motorsport season. And she'll be there racing all season with the Academy. And like I say, you can follow all the action along with all the live streams, but additionally, you can go and watch this documentary series. Quite exciting times for the Academy and for Sam. And then 13th and 14th of April, you can see that the main series, including the 7 Championship UK Road Sports 270s and 310s, are all going to be at the Snetterton circuit, just like we've been racing tonight, but they're going to be doing it for real. Can't wait for that. So do make sure you tune into all the social channels around for the next couple of weekends for all your Caterham action. But all that's left for me to do is to thank our series sponsors and say that the caterhamracer.com 2024 Caterham Championship is sponsored by 1-to-1 on-track coaching and simulator training with Ryan Hooker, and by DPR Motorsport, your competitive advantage. We will see you again soon, and we can't wait to do it all again.